Alright. So, on we go. We now have the cat flap-o-matic maker. We just don't... Oh, that's right. I don't know what I need to do. We left it on this cliffhanger. We either do another... carry on with the summation examination. Sorry, carry on with the cross-examination, or do a summation examination. But we have the cat flap-o-matic thingamajiggy. So we need... Let's just look at... Let's just reread the history. Yeah, because this machine attaches hinges to the wall and cuts out a segment of the door all in one go. Like, it's just as one job. And then you've got an instant flap in the door. Yeah, because the jurors are unanimous, saying that after that whole testimony, they believe Ginny still did it. Any attempt to alter the verdict would be futile, according to Van Zykes. But Sholmes is like, I wonder. And then the rest is up to us. So do we trust Sholmes' instinct and carry on with, or do the summation examination, or do we do a further cross-examination? I think I was going to do a further cross-examination. Because we need to demonstrate the cat flap-o-matic blows the guy's testimony wide open. I would request further cross-examination. The jurors have spoken. Protocol dictates you may not cross-examine a new witness now.
Objection.
You have a question? No problem, fire away. The defense is not asking for the cross-examination of a new witness, rather to continue with an existing witness. What? When was the peephole made? Good question. Yes, so, here's the thing. We have pictures that Mr. Sholmes actually set cameras up in this place for Mr. Windybank as a security system. And we have two pictures actually which were provided to us. This is at 1 AM when Ginny Lestrade was caught on camera with Mr. Windybank's gun when she did bust into the place and demanded to be shown where the copy of Iris's manuscript was for The Hound of the Baskervilles that Mr. Sholmes wouldn't let her publish for some reason. Which we don't know what, but that's immaterial to the case. But she doubted whether Sholmes actually deposited it here, or if he was just lying to her, because she thinks all grown-ups are liars. So, yeah, she was determined to see it for herself. And then Windybank showed it to her, and she got all like, oh, I'm so sorry. You know, that's what she says. And then he took the gun off of her when he heard the others breaking in. So this is at 1 AM when she was originally there. Now, if you look at the door back here, right, it's solid wood where the curtain comes across in the upper half, right? This was taken at 1:30 AM. Now look, it's there. This was just after we came to the scene and Mr. Sholmes was shot and Naruhodo chased the Skulkin brothers out onto the street, the people that had shot him. So it was made between those two times, and it could only be made with that machine, which Susato, our assistant, brought with her. So it had to have been made after the Skulkin brothers had been and gone. It would appear that a rather important detail has escaped your attention, Mr. Reaper. My lord, requesting your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination. See, this is what I'm thinking. We can continue with the interrupted cross-examination. Thank you, officer. Very well, the cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended. I presume you have no objections, counsel? No, my lord. Now we have the right to continue it. So nobody can say anything then. If Runa asks to resume his cross-examination of Mr. Graydon, the court is obliged to allow it. This is absurd. Zaras! Hello! How are you, dude? Nice to see you. Only seems like a day since we last spoke, doesn't it? How's it going, my friend? Hope you're having a good day. I would remind those present that this is my courtroom. I concur that the defense is entirely within its rights to request the continuation of the cross-examination. Request. I deny it. That's what he's going to say, I bet. Yes, mon ami. Bonjour. However, I will not permit an unremitting protraction of these proceedings. Therefore, I have decided to afford the defense one final opportunity in concluding the cross-examination. Counsel, you must choose one statement from the witness's testimony and but one piece of evidence to present in support of your argument against it. A single chance to present evidence? If following that the situation remains unchanged, I shall move to adjudication. Is that clear, counsels? Hey, Sam! Hello to you too! Happy Monday, how's it going? I have a peanut butter choco sandwich at midnight. Ooh. Erikai, are you going to share that with the class? Yeah? No? Well, enjoy it then. That sounds delicious. Peanut butter and chocolate. No! Oh, so brutal. Oh, yours. Okay, fine. Fine, we'll get our own peanut butter and chocolate sandwiches then. Okay. No, enjoy that. Sounds delicious. Okay, I will not press the witness any further. Ooh! So we can't press the dude. But then again, we did press everything, I think. So we kind of already know what the presses are. My lord. Yes, my lord. A single statement and a single piece of evidence. Most generous. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, it's high time I fell in a dead faint. What? I leave this in your capable hands. Oh, thud. What that is? Yeah, because he did just get shot like the day before, and he's now out of hospital bed running around for us, and it's like, dude, seriously, go back to hospital. Mr. Sholmes! He dead. To stand so insouciantly before the court in a state of such high fever, either the man has an extraordinary strength of mind, or an extraordinary lack of feeling, or he's extraordinarily stupid. I imagine he's feeling very little right now. The detective is sleeping soundly in one of the antechambers. Strike a man when he's down, why don't you? Well then, counsel, are you fully prepared? Yes. One statement, one piece of evidence. I won't let Mr. Sholmes down, or Iris. And I won't waste the final chance that Susato-san has given me. This is going to decide the entire outcome of the trial. Very well then. Under the terms I have outlined, you may resume the cross-examination. Here we go. The moment of the shooting again. So while the ruffians were jostling with the broker, I was still near the entrance of the shop. Yeah, I remember that. When Windibank threw Nash over the counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm. So that's when he says he was shot. He said that Windibank had his gun, and he threw Nash Skullkin, the little one, over the counter, which is what we know definitely happened, but he said at that point the gun must have gone off and bing, hit him, the bullet, like, hit the meat of the arm and went into the wall behind him. I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I could see him through the peephole in the door, though. This is the one we're gonna have to pick apart, I think, but we can't press. The accused in a black coat shot the man as he was trying to flee to safety. I saw the blood splatter all over the wretched girl. Then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape. Do we press that one instead? Either one would work, I think. But he's saying that's the reason why no other gun was found, and then somehow she passed out while holding Windibank's already fired gun, because it only has one bullet in it, for himself. Because he uses that to threaten to shoot himself if anybody tries to steal things. Or if he, yeah, he's very weird, or was very weird. Save the trial and error. Well, we've already started from a save anyway, so we can always get back. But if she tosses the gun out of the peephole, I think we need to press the one where he says he looked through the peephole to begin with, because the peephole wasn't there at that point. Pursued the man, he shut himself in the storeroom. This is the original, this is the beginning of that flawed argument. You could see him through the peephole of the door. Alright. I'm very confident that we do that with the cat flap. Or do we do it with the photo? There's no peephole in the door. Let's do it with the cat flap thing. I mean, we've just got our hands on this. If we had everything we needed before, we wouldn't need to have used it. You know, we wouldn't have needed this to begin with. We wouldn't have gone through all of this. So this is important now.
Objection!
Yes. What on earth is that eccentric contraption, Counsel? Ooh, it's my cat flapper mat, my lord. It makes a way for the cat to get in and out of a room. It can cut through any door you can think of and make a new little door in the middle of it. That's right, my lord. It's a device for creating a so-called cat flap. Small doors for cats to come and go as they please without their owners having to open the main door. I'm sure we can all work out for ourselves. Ah. But that cat lover's contrivance has no possible relevance to the case. Oh, really? Of course it doesn't. To start with, there was no cat flap in the pawnbroker's door. Not being a keeper of cats myself, I'm afraid I fail to see what this has to do with the matter at hand. Perhaps it would help if I describe its function another way then. This contraption is able to create a peephole in any door you can imagine in practically no time at all. It's not very peep-like though if it's a huge square. A peephole is like tiny. That's where you peep. This is more like a looking hole where you just pull it open and go like, hi, and close it again. I beg your pardon, a peephole, you say? 2 nights ago, we arrived at the scene only minutes after the murder of Mr. Windibank had taken place. That's right. According to the paperwork at the yard, it was you, your Japanese assistant, and Sholmes. Yes, the 3 of us were together, and it's recently come to my attention that my assistant made use of this device at the time. Your assistant did what? There was a peephole in the storeroom door, I can attest to that. Because I looked through the peephole myself in order to see the locked storeroom. This is ludicrous. What are you trying to say? Of course there was a peephole in the door. I said as much in my testimony. How else could I have witnessed the crime, for pity's sake? It's interesting to me how he would have known that there was a peephole in the door that he could have looked through. I mean, unless he was paying close attention to the photos and saw the one with the peephole in it and thought, ah, I can make a lie up about that. Yes, how could you? What? Counsel, kindly say what you mean. Alright. It is time to strike the final blow. What I mean to say is this, my lord. My assistant made the peephole in the storeroom door, and until such time as she did, the door had no peephole in it to look through. What? No! Oh! Oh, goodness gracious me.
Objection!
This is a farce. Are you really suggesting the peephole in the door was... Yes, it was created only after the incident had taken place by my judicial assistant using this device. Your assistant tampered with a crime scene while being fully aware of the gravity of her actions? That is a most serious act of vandalism. For which I humbly apologize, my lord. It was in the few minutes that I left the scene in order to pursue the Skulkin brothers and alert the police. Nevertheless, in light of this new information, it becomes apparent Mr. Graydon's testimony is riddled with holes. Hey. Riddled with... Explain yourself, counsel. Well, just the one hole. A big one, though. The majority of Mr. Graydon's testimony that appears to incriminate the defense is based upon what he witnessed through the peephole in the storeroom door. Yes, that filthy girl shooting the man in the back. However, if at the time of the incident that peephole did not yet exist in the door, there's no possible way you could have seen what you claim to have seen. In short, your entire testimony is a pack of lies. Ugh. It is erroneous, as they say. Order! Order! Is there any credence in this revelation? Apparently not. None whatsoever, as my learned friend must surely realize. Exactly. This is some cheap trick designed to discredit me. I'm afraid not, sir. Of course it is. Do you seriously expect people to believe that that plaything can cut through a solid wood door? Oh yes, I designed it to be very powerful. It can cut through even the toughest of doors. That's absurd. I don't believe it for a second. Ha! I had a feeling you'd say that. What? Waggy! Cooey! Time for dinner! Oh my god, did she just use it while we were in the middle of this? Oh my god, Iris. And why is the cat in the courtroom anyway? Why is it just here? Does she just say that and it appears from anywhere in London? Well... young lady, this is the Old Bailey. One does not make cat flaps in the oak panelling at the Old Bailey. I'm not done yet. Don't worry. This doesn't mean that the peephole in the storeroom door at Windibanks was made by your machine. There's no way you can prove it was. No, but it's easy. What? The cat flaps my cat flap mat creates are all fixed sized, and the dimensions of the peephole at Windibanks are an exact match. Ugh. Not to mention the fact we have photographs. Hehe. Old Silky's lost for words. Excellent work, Iris, thank you. And now it's my learned friend's turn to be lost for words, I feel. I believe in your judicial assistant has already left the country for your Eastern Island home. Yeah, we'd need her to be able to tell us what she did. Well, yes, that's true. And you may have some difficulty in establishing all of the facts. For the sake of argument, let us assume the peephole has the dimensions that are a perfect fit for this contraption. In that case, when was the peephole cut? The prosecution demands proof of your answer. Ugh. What is the purpose of your line of inquiry, Lord Van Zykes? It is very simple, my lord. The defense argues that the peephole was created after the incident using this device, but now that the perpetrator has returned to her native land, she cannot testify that fact. There is no proof. And for as long as the defense remains unable to prove when the peephole was made, my learned friend's claims amount to nothing more than a baseless accusation. What? Nani? Indeed, that is so, Lord Van Zykes. Well, counsel? Don't give up now, Runo. This is the time to create your own opening and force your way through. Like making a cat flap. Huh. I don't know if I can do this, but I do know one thing. Susato-san is the greatest judicial assistant in the world. And that one thing you know helps us not at all. Very well. The counsel for the defense will present evidence that supports the claims made. Proof that the peephole in the door of Winterbank Storeroom was created after the event, not before. That would be the picture now. That's this one.
Take that!
What are you? A print from that detective's infernal cameras again. My judicial assistant, Miss Susato Mikotoba, is an extremely intelligent and capable woman, which is why I never had any cause to doubt that she would have considered this scenario and made sure I had the necessary proof. And the necessary proof is this photographic print, counsel. This print shows the scene in the shop moments after the defendant entered the premises. Agreed. And it also shows the accused mercilessly wielding a gun in the direction of the defenseless broker. But more to the point, it pictures the storeroom door in the background. Let me see that print again. I don't believe it. This really is quite remarkable. The door to the storeroom is completely devoid of a peephole of any description. Ah! Mr. Graydon, you couldn't possibly have witnessed the crime as you claim to have done, because at the time it happened, there was no peephole in the door. In other words, your testimony is a catalogue of lies. It's bullshit is what it is. Oh, wow, fancy. Hey, Tusa, how's it going? Objection! Sustained! Order! Order! I am satisfied that the defense has substantiated its claim beyond a reasonable doubt. This witness's testimony was entirely fallacious. And that's not the only thing we know beyond all reasonable doubt. My learned friend's assistant's guilt can no longer be denied. The woman tampered with the crime scene. Oh, he's trying to turn this around now. But more importantly... Good lord, there's more Lord Van Zykes? The defense may have established a reprehensible instance of perjury. But that is no proof that this man is the victim's killer. Yes, that's right. What? I was there at the scene, it is true. And I was shot in the arm, it's true. But that's all. Yes, in fact, if you look at the circumstances, I am the victim here. Oh, please. No! Really? I don't believe this. But they're right. As it stands now, I don't have any definitive proof that he is the culprit. Still, he can't worm his way out now. Iris, you know what they say? There's no point locking the cat's door after the cat has bolted. I think that's a saying about horses, Iris, but we'll allow it. Isn't that right, Bruno? As Hurley always says, one lie begets another. No, wait. That might have been a line I wrote for him in one of my stories. Well, no matter who said it first, you're right. Mr. Graydon, not only did you give false testimony to the court, but the lies you've told make no sense. Make no sense? What do you mean by such a remark? What you said in your testimony reveals that you know something you shouldn't have known. In other words, there's a fundamental inconsistency in your statements. What?
Objection!
He shouldn't have known about the flap. I said that earlier, yeah. This is provocative talk, counsel. Want to enlighten the court, explain this alleged inconsistency. Iris was right. One lie begets another. The inconsistency is revealed by the lies in the witnesses' statements. They show that Mr. Graydon had no knowledge of something, or had knowledge of something he shouldn't have known anything about, namely, the peephole. The third gun, though, as well. Because he said the third gun was pushed through the peephole afterwards. He shouldn't have had knowledge about any of this. The bloodstains on the coat is even deeper because that's how he tried to get her convicted. And if he never saw blood splashing onto her, how would he have known about the bloodstains on the coat? Yeah, it's the peephole, because the peephole will then say he shouldn't have known about the third gun and the bloodstains on the coat as well. It's the origin, isn't it? The point is not that you lied in your testimony, Mr. Graydon. It's the nature of the lies you concocted that is so revealing. You're not making any sense. Then let me ask you a simple question. How is it, Mr. Graydon, that you knew of the existence of the peephole in the storeroom door? What? Well, obviously I... Has the cat got your tongue, witness? Even the judge is making cat jokes now. The peephole in the door was made after the incident occurred. Once I returned to the shop having failed to catch the two burglars. Scotland Yard's investigators arrived immediately. Since that time, the police have been at the Windibanks constantly carrying out their investigation. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson? Well, yes, of course. The place is chock full of pawned articles, and my lads have to thoroughly examine all of them. So I gave the order to have the officers working around the clock in shifts so we can get through it all. Consequently, there's no way that you, Mr. Graydon, could have gained access to the shop. Therefore, you should know nothing about the peephole in the storeroom door. So the fact that its existence forms the basis of your testimony is completely inexplicable.
Objection!
And yet, the fact remains Mr. Graydon did maintain that he witnessed the crime take place through the peephole in the door. How on earth is it possible? Could I have a word, please, Lord Van Zykes? Speak, Inspector. It's just that I really ought to be getting back to the station now to put in my report. There's really nothing more I can add to this testimony, so if it's all the same to you... Fuck no, Gregson. Because... you told him about it, dickhead. Permission denied. Oh, damn. Oh. It's not all the same to me, Inspector, not at all. You will remain exactly where you are until the trial concludes. Of course, sir. He knows he's done wrong. Mr. Graydon, you shouldn't have known about the existence of that peephole. Which can only mean you must have been informed about it by somebody else.
Objection!
Stop there, my learned friend. You realize I trust that the words you've just uttered have been have extremely serious implications. Yes, but the defense believes the details about the case that Mr. Graydon claims to have seen must have been revealed to him by a certain person before his testimony. And in fact, considering a particular clue we have, there's really only one person that could be. Who's the person in question, counsel? Who gave the witness the details of the crime scene to facilitate his false testimony? Fucking Gregson. It's the only other person who could have done it.
Take that!
The truth is, it can only have been you, Inspector Gregson. Hey? Me?
Objection!
You had better have some proof to substantiate such a rash claim, my learned friend. Consider the fact that we've only been aware of Mr. Ashley Graydon's identity for the last few hours. We learned of it only during the course of the trial today. Indeed, preparations for his testimony were made with great urgency during our hour-long recess, while the police executed the subpoena and brought the man here from the communications station. And until that time, Mr. Graydon would have had no idea. No inkling that he would suddenly be required to appear in court. Are you suggesting that until such time he was summoned? Yes, my lord. Until then, it's reasonable to assume he knew nothing of the peephole. It was only once Mr. Graydon was in the stand that he realized his position. That he would have to defend himself against the accusation that he was the third intruder. You're suggesting to the court that while I was... You're suggesting to the court that it was while this trial was in progress that he received the information, so that he could commit perjury in order to save his skin? Exactly. The only person with knowledge of the investigation he had any contact with is you, Inspector Gregson. This is a blooming outrage. Why would I be giving away details of our investigation to this fella, eh? I was summoned to his lordship's chambers during the recess in any case. Had you forgotten that? Quite true. I had a number of questions regarding the events that transpired in the pawnbrokery. Which means... the first time these two laid eyes on one another was after proceedings resumed following the recess. Since then, they've been in full view of the stand, where such illicit discussions couldn't possibly have occurred. But they did have a little friggin' powwow while we were having a go at the Skulkin brothers, if you remember. Was it the Skulkin brothers or somebody? Hey, Erkan! How's it going? Yeah, long time no see indeed. How are things? Checking back on Twitch for a bit. No problem. How's it going? How's your life been so far? Been a long time. Hope you're doing well. Ooh, I just remembered something, Runo. What is it, Iris? There was that one time before, wasn't there? I think it was when... oh, it was when Ginny was testifying. That's right. That's who else we got to testify. Oh yeah, now you mention it. When the bailiff was dispatched to retrieve McGilded's music box from the scene of the crime. That's it. It was during that testimony. They had their backs to each other, and they were having a little bit of a chin wag. I remember finding it strange at the time. Look at them, they were like... Mr. Graydon and the inspector seemed to be having some kind of secret discussion. It's been good, been doing so much LOL, focusing, basketball, skating, school, wow. Sounds like a lot on your plate. I've been doing okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I've moved out of my house and back into my parents' house recently, and we had some problems with the internet that seemed to have been cured by me moving the hub into this room, so all is well. And I still have some things to sort through, see what I can throw away, and hopefully this will be a nice stopover before finally, eventually, moving to Canada. So, yeah. So the last couple of months have been very busy for me. I want to say, when was it? When would it have been? Early August when I put my notice in, yeah. Was it? Quite possibly, yes, because then, yes, because it wasn't. I'm trying to remember what bloody month we're on now. It was at the end of September when I handed the keys over. So, been busy, and since then, for the last couple of weeks, I've had stuff to sort through. So, yeah, I'll get on top of it though, and it's helped me clear out a bunch of stuff that I have no intention of taking with me to Canada and shipping and that kind of stuff. So it's nice to get out ahead of it first and save some money. You got some free time now, sick at the moment, and no skating weather. Oh dear. Well, I hope you feel better soon. Hope it's not the COVIDs that you has. Sorry to hear about the new hang-up regarding the immigration. Yeah, thank you. It's stressing. It really is. I've had to have my fingerprints done again. I haven't talked about it on stream, actually, because I just wanted to get on with it and move past it. I was very upset about it last week, but I've had to do it differently. They've actually requested paper prints now, ink and paper, because the other set, the digital ones, came back blurry. Again, or bad quality, they say. I don't know what they mean by that. They don't elaborate, but it means I've got to send it all off for a criminal background check in Canada, where it's going to get digitized there from the actual ink prints. And then, maybe, the immigration services, you know, they're going to request those from the Canadian police once I've done. So yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to open a wound. No, that's no problem. To be honest, I meant to talk about it on stream anyway, just to keep you guys informed of what's going on, just get it off my chest, but I didn't want to do it on the day that I got it all done, on Friday last week, because I was stressed. I was like, fuck, I don't want to talk about it. I'm just going to get on with the stream and enjoy the day, and we had a good day on the stream. Then Saturday came and went, and I thought, I didn't talk about that, did I? Well, whatever. So yeah, no, it's no problem. But yeah, thank you very much as well. But we'll get through it. It's just, you know, it's frustrating. But there's nothing else we can do about it. I got it done in a day and sent in the post. So we'll see. Talking helps. Yeah, it does. Talking stuff out and getting it off your chest. Never bottle stuff up, guys. I'm a big believer in that. Oh, thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. So it would have been possible for you to give Mr. Graydon the information he needed then. You little toe rag. You're making all this up. I'm a respectable Scotland Yard inspector, for crying out loud. Why would I do something like that? Why would I be giving away confidential details to the likes of this bloke? Admittedly, you wouldn't have had any reason to do something like that for no game, but perhaps it was part of a deal of some kind? Then it starts to make more sense. What deal, Counsel? I wonder if perhaps in exchange for details about the people at the crime scene, Mr. Graydon agreed to give a certain something to the inspector. The disc. He's going to give the other disc to him. Oh. You bottle things out and then pee it all at the toilet. Well, I don't mean bottling up that stuff. I mean, you know, you can do that if you prefer, but I'm talking about feelings, just to be sure. I'm sure I need not remind the inspector that, if found to be true, striking a deal of any kind with a witness would be considered a gross case of malfeasance. Well, It is becoming clear that jumping in with accusations at this Nipponese student's specialty. I don't do that, but with the stakes so high, the prosecution is not prepared to listen to baseless charges. It is incumbent on the defense now to present evidence in support of a diabolical claim. Evidence? Just what are you proposing that the inspector demanded of the witness in return? The court must see proof of this alleged deal. What is this game about? These are like the Ace Attorney games. It's the same series. You basically play this lawyer. This is set in the like late 19th century England. This kid Ryunosuke Naruhodo is from Japan. During this time of period, the Japanese were striking deals with different governments for like exchange of information and technology because they were trying to rapidly modernize. The emperor really wanted to modernize Japan and bring it into the next century with all the other different countries. So as part of that, they were learning the legal systems of other countries and how court proceedings work, and England had this really big legal system and the trials and juries and all this stuff. So Ryu is an exchange student in a sense who's here to learn about how law is practiced in England. And yeah, basically he's getting thrown into trials to defend people. So this is the 5th case now in the series of 5 cases, and things are starting to culminate towards this storyline about how there are secrets being stolen from the British government and sold to their enemies. So this case is seemingly revolving around that, and a previous case, in the case where a rich guy was accused of stabbing somebody. And we got him, that was our first case, and we got him off scot-free on technicalities. But it turns out that was based on a pack of lies we were fed during our naivety. And yeah, we are now trying to bring it all back around again. We're trying to defend our client, who is this girl here, Gina Lestrade. She's a pickpocket, and she's supposedly shot this guy, Pop Winderbank, a pawnbroker who lives on Baker Street, the same place where Herlock Sholmes, the great detective, lives. But she didn't shoot him. She was in a room with him, locked from the inside, but she didn't shoot him. This guy is working in the communications office, and it seems what he's doing is he's making information like that he hears coming through on the wire into these discs on a music box, and there's a double-sided music box where it plays two different tones on each side. You put two discs in, and it's in Morse code, so you get two different tones representing the two different Morse code bleeps, and then you can decode it into the actual information. We've only got the one disc so far, and we found this music box that had something to do with the case where we got the rich guy off. This was apparently in the rich guy's pocket in a coat, and it's one big long circumstance of events. But we know this guy was after it, this guy in white, and he paid two thieves to help him steal it back in the middle of the night, only to find that Gina Lestrade had also broken into the place and was demanding that the pawnbroker show that he still had an item that someone else pawned and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, big story. Yeah, really big story. But the way you play it is you gather evidence through the course of the trials, and by also investigating the crime scenes before the trials, like we gathered blood samples and that kind of stuff. We have the paper, we have the autopsy report from the victim, and a photographic print and a crime scene floor plan, and we need to pick apart all the different statements to prove that the people in the witness stand are lying and that our client is innocent. So yeah, that's what this game is about, really. It's basically a visual novel with some puzzle elements about it, like deductive puzzles. So yeah. So if Inspector Gregson really did strike a deal with Mr. Graydon, then logically, there's only one thing he could have asked for. That must be it. Bruno, do you think it could be? Yes. It's the missing link that would join all the dots together in this puzzle. What a clue. I must press you for your answer now, Counsel. What evidence explains the nature of the alleged deal that Inspector Gregson has made with this witness? The music disc. Because that guy wanted this disc, and we know he had another one, and we know that this box was dropped off by McGilded, by Magnus McGilded, or by somebody anyway. It was dropped off by somebody. I don't know actually, who was it again? The small box for 10 shillings. I believe this is probably something he stole from Mason. Mason Milverton, that was his name. Mason Milverton. That would be Mr. Graydon's dad, because his real name is Milverton. Ashley Milverton, not Ashley Graydon. He changed his name. So this box might have been his, and it has one of the, or had one of the discs in it, and this is what he came to get, was the other disc, in the hopes that it wouldn't lead back to him. And this one was in McGilded's coat, that was also in the pawnbroker's. So I think the music box disc, this is what they're after, because what does Gregson want? He's on the case where he's trying to find out who's selling secrets. It's gotta be this. So he wants the other disc. Inspector Gregson, besides the murder, is it not true that you've been working on another very important case? What? What are you getting at now, Sunshine? Is it possible that this other top secret case is what's alluded to in this newspaper article here? The classified secrets being leaked overseas from the Ministry of Justice? How the bleeding Nora could you... We discovered during the course of the trial the music box deposited at Winterbank by Magnus McGilded. A special music box designed to play 2 discs at once. It would seem very likely now that encoded on the pair of discs that were in McGilded's possession are the leaked classified secrets. So I put it to you, Inspector, that in order to recover the second discs containing these secrets, you've covertly made a deal with Mr. Graydon in which you exchange the disc for details of the case. You little... Ah! And yeah, it's not that hard. I mean, like Erica said, they literally thrust stuff in your face. Sometimes you really have to think, though, because they know what they're getting at, and when they're bluffing or when they're trying to point something out, but they never say it to themselves. Like, they don't have the mental thought for you to say to themselves, ah, maybe it's the disc. Instead, it's like, ah, is that it? Is that what they wanted? That piece of evidence. But they don't tell you what that piece of evidence is. You have to still figure it out as well. Yeah. It's like misleading stuff, though it's just thinking too much. So I think too much sometimes with these games, though. You're right, yeah. That does happen. I will think way too hard on these and be like, oh, is it this? And it's totally wrong. On the day of the incident, when we met at Winterbanks, you said this. That was always the problem you had with the Ace Attorney games. It was the sticking point for me in the previous ones. When I played the HD trilogy, the original trilogy, yeah, there were some occasions where I literally had no clue. None whatsoever. I was in the dark, yet the characters seemed to figure it out. And yet they didn't share even the slightest hint of what I needed to, which piece of evidence did I need to pick up and rub against which statement to make the game move forward, The logic wasn't the best. Yeah, sometimes it's big leaps of logic, especially when it's not based on any actual evidence. It's a bluff. You have to bluff with bad evidence to get somebody to start blathering on and reveal the lie. And then you can follow that through. And it's like, why? The story, though, was great. Yeah. One of my favorite stories in video games of all time. So, yes. I'll be taking that whatever it is of McGilded's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over. No, don't give it to him. It's mine. That is mine. I'm sorry, miss, but anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken as evidence now. Yeah, because they figured out that he was involved in this whole spying deal. Scotland Yard already knew that at the time, didn't they? Your favourite one is in Red Dead Redemption 2. That is a game I have not yet played. The first one was great, though. I loved, well, not the first Red Dead game, but the first, the Red Dead Redemption game. That was great, because there was Red Dead Revolver before that. Never played that either. Magnus McGilded was involved in the stealing of government secrets. My orders were, recover the mediums used to convey the secrets leaked from the Ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush. And that explains why, when I presented the disc as evidence in the court, you objected so heavily, I presume. Because you knew that it contained highly confidential information. Blimey, not likely. I mean, I wasn't sure of it myself. I realized there was a possibility, that's all. Inspector, surely you're not saying that in order to acquire the second of these music box discs, you did indeed reveal confidential details of a crime scene to the witness? To aid and abet this man in giving false testimony? There's no other way that Mr. Graydon could have known the existence of the peephole. It's the only explanation. A deal was struck between the two men. No!
Objection!
If, and I stress if, this sobering assertion turns out to be founded in truth, it would mean that the second disc is, as we speak, here in this very courtroom. Wait, what? In this room? How could you possibly make a claim like that? Because the Inspector Gregson is a Scotland Yard detective. What? Well, what's that supposed to mean, eh? As a seasoned policeman, the Inspector will have approached this alleged deal with caution. Certainly he would not have accepted the gentleman's agreement on this matter. No, he would have insisted on having the agreed article upon in the palm of his hand. Good gracious, then you mean to say Inspector Gregson already has the item in question in his possession? He has the second disc actually on his person?
Yes.
He is the second disc. The defense demands the inspector is searched at once. Definitely. They could only have struck a deal with each other when Ginny was testifying before, and Gregsy hasn't moved from the witness stand since. My lord, please, order an examination of his personal effects immediately. Well, Inspector, you could save yourself the indignity and just pull it out of your pocket. This young lad wants to tone down his imagination. He's insulted me and my profession quite enough. However, if it'll put this matter to bed and dispel any doubts about my involvement, I'll happily submit to a body search. What? He's going to agree to it. I presume you're aware of the precipice on which you now teeter, my learned student friend. You've made the most serious allegation against Scotland Yard here. If following the search of the inspector's personal effects no disc is found, you will be deemed unfit for court service. This trial will end, and my country's government will formally demand of yours that you are severely reprimanded. That sounds serious. Indeed, to have a visiting student make such defamatory remarks about our country's most senior police force, it is not something Her Majesty's government will be able to overlook. You're just threatening Runo because you're scared. The accusation is beyond serious. You must be prepared for grave consequences. It's true. I can't imagine Gregson would have accepted a gentleman's agreement for something so critical. The disc must have physically changed hands, which means the inspector should have it. But somehow, something doesn't feel quite right here. Very well, counsel, you know the implications. Let me ask you one final time. Yes, my lord. Do you still persist in formally requesting a search of the inspector's personal effects? I mean, they may have agreed to exchange the disc at the trial's conclusion. So Graydon could still have it. I guess all I'm thinking is, would he have even thought to bring it to court with him if it's so damned important? Why would he risk bringing it to court, knowing that he was going to be brought here to testify in this murder that he committed himself and it could all backfire on him? Why bring the disc? Oh. Ah! Shit! I guess we're searching him. Fuck. I meant to save the game and I clicked the wrong button. The defense demands that Inspector Gregson is searched at once. Very well. Are you ready to proceed, Inspector? Wait a minute. When was... See, this is the problem between Xbox controller and Switch controller, is the frigging buttons in different places. And B is A and A is B, and one is to go back and one is to select, and my muscle memories are all fucking all over the place. Like, I just pressed it again. I just pressed B because that's where the A is on the Switch controller, which I was playing with last time. Load back. I'm just checking where the autosave is now. The autosave is only 10 minutes away. So, not a big problem if we screw up. So we can always go back and skip through. Shy, Matt messed up big time. I did not. I just accidentally made a choice, that's all. Very well. You are ready to proceed, Inspector? Be my guest, sir. And so a brief body search was carried out by the court bailiff. A few short minutes later, it was revealed that the inspector had nothing unusual on his person at all. Gah! Well, just as I thought. What? Well, you heard Gregsy before. He almost invited the search. It was obvious that we wouldn't find anything. Well, as long as it's not a game over. If we get to pick somebody else, I'll be happy. Maybe consider mentioning things like that before I monumentally put my foot in my mouth next time. Well, counsel, what do you have to say for yourself now? Have you learnt your lesson, or do you intend to embarrass more people in this courtroom? Yes, I'd like to have Lord Van Zyke searched, please, and then the judge. Oh, this is bad. Do you still persist in formally requesting a search of the inspector's personal effects? Okay, so it just brings us back around. I thought this could have been a hard game over. Search someone else. Graydon has it. Yes, the defense formally demands the search be conducted. Well, don't say you weren't warned. But your typical Nipponese stubbornness may well land you in hot water this time. Perhaps the lesson will do you some good. Fair enough. I've got nothing to hide. Very well then. Bailiff, conduct a search of... Wait!
Objection!
Oh god, thank god. I was like, did I pick the wrong one? The defense demands the search, but not of the Inspector Gregson. What? Now what's all this? I'm the one you're accusing, aren't I? I thought you wanted to search me. No, no, Inspector, not you. Somebody else. What's the meaning of all this, eh? Lost it at last, have you, sunshine? The court shouldn't have to put up with this nonsense. You're being completely irrational. Be quiet, all of you. Damn, Iris putting her foot down. Bruno's doing what you all told him to do, and having the courage of his convictions, so you should respect that and listen to what he has to say in good faith. Because that's the British way. And you should do it with a cup of tea. We back? Yeah, it didn't do a game over. We just lost one of the points at the top of the screen, and it came back around to let us select again. Well said, young lady. Indeed, this court is in awe of the defense counsel's conviction and eagerly awaits his next word. You what? Now don't be hasty, my lord. If I'm not mistaken about the things I've seen in court today, I'm fairly sure that I know who has the disc at the moment, and there's only one person it can be. It's not Graydon. It's not Graydon. I think it's this guy. We saw Gregson roughing him up during the last part of the last testimonies, right? At the end of the last stream. What if he planted the disc on him? Because he's then got to go and take these two guys to their trial for the breaking and entering portion of this whole thing. They were already under arrest. They're not just witnesses, they're also suspects as part of the breaking and entering and the shooting of Mr. Sholmes. He could have snuck it into his coat pocket intending to retrieve it later, as he then takes custody of these two guys and takes them to their trial. Going to study, take care, man. No problem, American. Nice to see you again. Hope you have a good day. Take care of yourselves. Good luck with the studying. And a test in 2 days. Well, good luck with that too. Next time you pop by, you must let us know how it went. Alright. Am I right about this, Nash Skulkin? Well, this time, I am gonna save it. I'm going to remember where the A button is. And I'm going to save it. There we go.
Take that!
Of my lord, Mr. Nash Skulkin. Well, I never. Hey, blimey! Me? Him? Oi! Natter! Sorry. Very well then. Bailiff, restrain the witness and conduct a thorough search of his personal effects and body cavities. I mean, just the personal effects. Please, my lord! Inspector. Scotland Yard, has to object to the search.
Objection!
We object to your objection. Shut up. Unfortunately for you, Inspector, your objections carry no weight here. Eh? In this courtroom, only the prosecution and the defense have the authority to object. But Lord Van Zykes, I have no idea what forces are at play that might influence your actions. But personally, I have no intention of obstructing the course of this trial. Bailiff, carry out the search. Oh, no, Jesus. No, nothing about no discs. No, not too rough. Cut it out! Don't touch me there! I need an adult! Ah! Here, my lord. In the witness's pocket, I found this. Good lord, that's another music box disc. I don't know nothing about it. Nothing. That is the second music box disc left behind by Magnus McGilded. Is it not, Inspector Gregson? Order! Order! Mr. Skulkin, what have you to say for yourself? Gordon Bennett, I mean, just Gordon Flaming Bennett. I swear, I didn't know nothing about that disc, honest God. Counsel, would you please explain what is going on here? The alleged deal that was struck between this witness and this detective, no? Without a question, my lord. Then for pity's sake, why on earth was this man in possession of the disc that the inspector traded for information? Inspector Gregson is a shrewd, calculating man who rarely loses his composure, but at one particular point in this trial he exhibited some unusual behavior for a brief moment. I don't recall. What unusual behavior? It was, yes, during my cross-examination of Mr. Graydon. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with a second disc in your jacket pocket? I admit to nothing of the sort. And then this was happening meanwhile. He was roughing this guy up, and then when we pressed him on it, he was like, nope, nothing, no problem here. While Mr. Graydon answered my question, the inspector appeared to have grabbed Nash Skulkin by the coat and was shaking him violently. Yeah, he did and all. Thought me noggin was gonna fall clean off, I did. I was wishing I'd been born as my brother, I was. And what exactly happened to make the detective attack you like that? I ain't got a clue. He just suddenly turned and grabbed me whistle and all that and started shaking me. Why the blazes didn't you mention the third gun when we got you down to the station? That's what he said. Yelled it right down the ear roll, he did. Me head's still throbbing now. I might have whiplash. I think I'm gonna sue. The way the detective behaved then was extremely out of character, but looking back now, it must have been then that he hid it. That was the opportunity Inspector Gregson created for himself in order to hide the disc. Well, bless my wig, he hid it? You little rotter. But I'm afraid I failed to comprehend the motive here. If the detective had acquired the disc he was after, why on earth would he then proceed to hide it in another man's pocket? This is a court of law. He could have submitted the item as evidence. No, because they don't want people looking at these things. He needs them, and he needs them to be unseen. It would appear, my lord, that the inspector was not at liberty to do that. Why ever not? As the man himself revealed earlier, his current assignment has some special conditions. My orders were, recover the mediums used to convey secrets leaked from the Ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush. Hush-hush? A top-secret assignment, is it? As far as we're aware, the information stolen comes from confidential government communications. It would seem that if the information were to be revealed in court as evidence, it would be problematic. Does that sum up the situation, Inspector? I'm operating under direct orders from the Ministry. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to answer that question. So, realizing there was a chance that you may be searched here in court, you took steps to hide the disc you had acquired from the witness. Does this mean he only pretended to attack Mr. Skulkin in order to get close enough to him to slip the second disc in his pocket? So it was all a pretense? Well now, Inspector Gregson, and you, Mr. Graydon, are you prepared to admit the accusation made against you of this alleged deal? Admit to it, yours truly, please. Mr. Graydon, clearly our Eastern visitor has an uncommonly active imagination. However, there's no proof I passed the disc to the Inspector. But then, how do you explain the reason why you knew about the peephole? I'm under no obligation to explain. What? I mean, you are. You're in court, dude. You are obliged. You consider yourself thoroughly fucking obliged. Yes, I lied in my testimony, I admit, so sentence me accordingly. But that's all I'll admit. Murder, leaking government secrets, striking a deal with a detective. All of it is this young Eastern man's fancy. I have no idea what any of this is about. You... what? God, this guy is fucking stubborn. His mother should be giving him a good hiding for this. Well, what about you then, Inspector Gregson? Do you admit to making a deal with Mr. Graydon in order to acquire the discs? Ladies and gents of the jury, as a Scotland Yard inspector, I will declare this and nothing more. I'm acting in the best interest of this country. Whatever I've done, it's been in the name of justice. Really? And yet, it's going to cause this trial to go in the wrong direction. How is that justice? So, as members of the public of this fine country, I'd like you to think that justice will be your guiding light when you're making your decisions. This is quite the quandary indeed. Rarely have I encountered such an extraordinarily tumultuousness in the conclusion of a trial. Nevertheless, in the absence of any further evidence to be presented, I believe it's time that we put the matter to the jury for their final leanings. Well, now, as a fellow servant of the Queen and country, I must say I sympathize with the old inspector. Yes, he's a dependable man, I'm quite sure. In service, one becomes a good judge of character. Oh God. Even crossing your eyes doesn't help when it comes to looking at this case. It's all blurred to me. Well, as a fellow professional, I'd like to put my faith in the detective, really. Graydon is highly skilled operator. Stop. Currently in presence of idols. Stop. My goodness, you must stop. Detective has very much trust in eyes. More than this, I cannot say. I don't believe it. The 6 jurors are... they're gonna believe Gregson? If they declare the decision now, is Ginny going to be found guilty? If I don't manage to produce some definitive evidence right now, we're going to lose. Simp detected. Either some proof that Graydon killed Mr. Winterbank or stole the government's secrets. Let's look at everything here then. Oh, we didn't get the other disc though. So that's the bullet fired by one of the Skulkin brothers into Sholmes's pouch, which is why we have it, and we were able to count bullets out. and we realize there's a third gun missing from the scene. Does this mean we can play the Morse code now? No, we don't actually have the disc in our possession. We've got the first one, but not the second one. I mean, we have it, but we don't have it in our evidence folder, so we can't examine it or look at it. Hey, Alchemist! Morse code is overrated. I prefer horse code. Oh, yes. How's it going, dude? We need proof that Graydon done it. It's going? Nice. Good stuff. I really don't think we've got anything we can specifically prove. We need evidence to force Gregson to admit that he did strike a deal with the witness. Well then, counsel, I think it's time I impose on the jurors to declare their final decisions. No? That is, unless you have some compelling evidence you have thus far not presented to the court. If I let the judge call the jurors to announce their leanings, Gina will be found guilty. There's no choice then, Bruno. You have to throw some more evidence at them. This is it now. It all comes down to this. Oh my god. Evidence against Gregson or Graydon? We're not leaving it to the jury. Hell no. We know how they're gonna go. Because all of this is going to come out as inconclusive testimony from Graydon, thus she was locked in the room with him and shot the gun. Even though, technically speaking, she couldn't have actually shot him because she didn't have a bullet in that gun, it was already discharged. It's the one that struck Graydon in the shoulder. So, let's go through them all one by one. Let's start with Graydon, and then we'll go back through and go through for Gregson. See if there's anything that screws with either of them. We're not getting anything new. So we have a pawnbroker's ticket. A redemption ticket issued from the pawnbroker owned by the victim, Mr. Winterbank, in the form of a handwritten note on the back of a photograph. This was the small box for 10 shillings on the 13th of April at 9 PM is when it was due to be forfeit. It was deposited on the 13th of February. That's the Winterbank Pawnbrokery logo stamp. I really wish I could read that. I don't know whose signature that is. We have representation papers for Gina, which probably shouldn't have anything to do with them. You want to see the cat again? Cute. Look at the cat. That's a guilty cat. The cat did it. No, it didn't. Leave the kitty alone. Put the cat on the witness stand. I want to hear testimony from the cat. A long testimony, so that we have to look at this cat for a long time. So we have blood here, but none of this has been accepted as evidence because this was Sherlock Sholmes's testing fluids, and that sounds dirty. Sherlock Sholmes's testing fluids. Ugh. But this was his stuff. These were his chemicals that did the test, and they're saying, no, this isn't conclusive because it hasn't been scientifically ratified yet. We've got the thumbprint on the other ticket, which we are assuming is Thrice Fired Mason, because we also have that same blood colour on the coat that Ginny's wearing. Pop Windibanks went blue. And this is how we know that this was Graydon. This is how we got him here in the first place, was the fact that we knew he cut his finger on this disc. So when it ended up as evidence in the trial, and the colour on it matched this, we knew. Like, well, that's the same guy. We thought that was Sholmes's blood, but it wasn't. So there's nothing there we can use against Graydon. Ticket. We know that this was for the ticket that was pawned by the omnibus driver on the night that Thrice Fired Mason was stabbed by, now it turns out, Magnus McGilded. This is the blood of Thrice Fired Mason because Magnus McGilded's hands were covered with his blood. When he retrieved this ticket, when the coach driver took the coat that was covered in blood to the pawn shop to have it dropped off as pawn and brought him the ticket back, he then hid it in a bush and told Ginny Lestrade she needed to go and pick it up if she knows what's good for her. And he gave her money to keep paying the interest on that pawn until he was able to retrieve it himself, but then he died in the carriage fire. But the signature... the signatures aren't the same, are they? Mr. Windibank appears to have used the back of a photograph. He's written it very neatly, but still, perhaps he ran out of paper and had to use anything he had to hand. It's hard to know what's the front and what's the reverse. But again, this is also on another picture, which is how we found out about stereoscopes, because the two pictures are slightly offset from each other to make a 3D image when you look at them in a stereoscope. Iris's manuscript that Mr. Sholmes deposited in the pawnbrokery for the victim, Mr. Windibank, is entitled The Hound of the Baskervilles. This is what Iris wrote. We have the case notes for McGilded's murder trial. Found deceased on the last scheduled omnibus of the day, stabbed wound in the abdomen. Mason Milverton, so that's how we linked him to Thrice Fired Mason and McGilded. When he said he had no relation to the case with Magnus McGilded, we showed him that actually, since his real name is Ashley Milverton, this was his father who was stabbed. And Ginny said that she heard them trying to do a deal. Today's paper is the pawnbrokery murder and the stealing of government secrets. We've already exhausted that. Autopsy report, pawnbroker, blah blah blah. Crime scene photo. The floor plan doesn't help us anymore. Windibank's gun belonged to the victim. Gina was holding it when she was found unconscious, and signs of a single discharge, which we know and have now accepted was the bullet that struck Graydon in the arm. This is the gun that was taken from one of the Skulkin brothers. This is the one that we know shot Sholmes. And both have only had one bullet fired, and then the third bullet clearly had to have been the one for Windibank, came from another gun. But we haven't found it, we don't have it. The photograph of Gina. This has helped us with the peephole theory. And again, that's been accepted, but we still struggle with showing that this is a problem. And that Graydon did actually shoot the guy. We need to prove that Graydon shot him. And then the note on it says for McGilded. The man we defended in court a couple of months ago, or rather mistakenly defended. I wonder what his name is doing on the back of the disc. Question I'd like to know the answer to myself. Well, clearly it's because Mason was turning the disc over to McGilded. He was buying this. Sholmes' pouch, where we found the bullet lodged in there, up against the leather. We have the third bullet. This is the bullet that was fired from a Skulking Brothers gun on the night of the incident. It turns out it never actually entered Hurley's body at all. Thanks to the thick leather pouch he was wearing, it saved him. Hurley's always lucky like that. Well, considering what he had to go through in the hospital, I wonder how lucky he really was. Whether or not he has a scalpel sewn up in his wound for all we know. Oh dear, poor Hurley. And the bullet is damaged. This is the other side of the music box. So then you would put two discs in, plop it up like that, and listen to them both. They synchronize. There's nothing about this that implicates Graydon, and then we have the cat flapper mat. So there's nothing there that points to the fact that Graydon did shoot Windybank. And I don't think there's anything there as well that says that the inspector struck a deal with Graydon to give him the information about the peephole so that then he could concoct a story and in exchange get the disc. If we can prove that, then we can prove that Gregson was lying. I think he's the key to this. I don't think now it's proving Ashley did anything. It's proving that Gregson has struck a deal with him and ruining his credibility. Because that's what the jury are now basing their whole assertion on, is that Gregson is a trustworthy guy. We need to take him down with what we have. We need to prove he made a deal. Anything in the newspaper Gregson has been implying there's a great story going on? Yeah, we're already fully aware of the greater story. Here's what it is. We know that classified intelligence is being leaked out of the Ministry of Justice. It's already been brought up during the course of the trial now. And this is what he's trying to do, is like track down where that information was, and we now know it's these music discs. Because they're actually, when played in this particular device, they just give off single pings, right? No like extra notes, just one note on either side. So there's two different notes. So it's like, it basically becomes Morse code. A sensational story lower down the front page. Ministry mole. Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice. For a 10-year-old, Iris certainly has a finger on the pulse of the news. Secret communications between Great Britain and its allies. Apparently they're being intercepted by hostile nations. Communications being intercepted, how would somebody be doing that? That's the question, isn't it? Just come up with nothing so far. And are we looking for a new career? No. I wonder, perhaps this is what Lord Strongheart was talking about yesterday. Explains why Gregsy has been running from pillar to post at the moment, which hasn't been disputed, you know? What we need to do is prove that he made a deal. Like, that doesn't prove anything, that's just an assumption. We need hard proof that he did make a deal with Graydon. I wonder if the music box is the proof, because we know that the other disc was likely in there, which is why Graydon went there that night. After failing during the day to obtain what he needed, he went there in the night instead. And Graydon would know that Gregson wants the discs because that's how he got the cut on his hand. Oh no, that was from Ginny, but either way, he was there when Gregson demanded the discs be turned over to the police. And we know that the music box probably had the second disc in it, which is why Graydon went back, he took it, and we know the box was moved because of the photos that were presented earlier that are not here now, of the the shelves. There were two separate sets of photos from different times, so that we could actually compare them and see if anything moved, and we saw this was the box that was moved, so we know Graydon picked it up, took the disc out, put it back, didn't put it back exactly where it came from. Same shelf, slightly moved off to the side. So I think we need to present evidence against Gregson. That's thin though. All it does is prove that he knows about the discs, but he could say that's because he got the first disc from McGilded. But he would have had to know that that Graydon has the disc in order to make the deal. He couldn't make a deal otherwise. But then again, Graydon could have told him. He could have been like, because he's the one who wants to know the details, right? He could have said to Gregson, hey, I've got the other disc, I'll let you have it. Well, look, I did save it, didn't I? But let's double check. Let's go down the route of Gregson. Inspector Gregson, there's one final piece of evidence I would like you to see. Hey, what's that then? If you refuse to acknowledge what you did, that you did in fact strike a deal with the witness here today, you leave us no choice but to examine this piece of evidence thoroughly. Well, go on. This is my last chance. It looks like I'm going to have to force his hand here. Yeah, because they don't want... He doesn't want the music discs playing at all. Right? He's nervous as fuck about that. So if we threaten to play both discs on that machine, that might force him to be like, alright, I'll tell you everything. I'm hoping. One final piece of evidence to get the detective to admit the deal he clearly struck with Graydon. I'm gonna go for it.
Take that!